Hi everyone, this is Lada from astrology.com and I'm here today with Candace. Hi Candace.
Hello. Hi everyone. Hi Lada.
And Candace is back by popular demand. Everyone's been raving about the previous interview and everyone's been asking for more, and I'm so glad that Candace agreed to take some time because she has a super busy schedule. I can rarely catch her. She's super busy with clients. She's in LA and she has her own shop as well, the psychic shop for readings, for astrology readings and psychic readings. And Candace is a generational psychic. It's not something that she just woke up one morning and decided to do. It's just been in her family for generations. So this is a gift handed down. And people ask that she comes back and talks about, the spiritual awakening and the children born in the late 80s, early 90s that have everything in Capricorn. So we'll talk about a lot of things today. I'll give the word to Candace. She has so much to say, guys.
Yay! Well, thank you. I have to say, I got so many emails. I didn't know what to do. I heard from so many people, and not just in a sense of readings, but just people who were like, hey, I saw the video. I really resonated with what you were saying. Can you give me more information? And so after talking to enough people who are my age who are going through it, but so many parents who also have children who are going through a lot of this stuff, I was like, okay, something's going on here. Like, we need to do some kind of discussion. Ooh, it's my sidekick today, sorry. With what's going on with these transits. And so we know that we have impending Saturn that's coming into Capricorn, and it's going to be showing up the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018, where it's going to hang out for like 3 years. And so I'm seeing a lot of people who are my age, who are like 24, 25, 26, 27, who are kind of starting to freak out a little bit. And they're noticing that they're having spiritual ascension symptoms. And so, that will affect in so many different ways. Everything from how we're viewing our families, how we're viewing our job, how we're viewing spirituality. And we're seeing this thing just kind of open up to a whole new world. So I just want to start off with some trends that we're seeing. I mean, we have Pluto transiting Capricorn right now.
I just want one question. What are the symptoms of spiritual awakening? How do people...
Oh my gosh, how long do you have?
Yeah, well, because I don't know, someone might think that they're having a nervous breakdown, another might think that they're hearing voices and should take Ritalin or whatever, or should take...
Spiritual awakenings do not discriminate. You do not have to fall into this age group. That's the one thing that I want people to know. They can be triggered at any age, at any time, but you'll notice that there's lots of shifts that go on in terms of them being very sensitive. People will start to develop characteristics and traits of being empathic. They will start to have major shifts in their emotions. And that's the big thing that I see with a lot of people.
I've heard people also get sensitive to colors, to sounds, to smells. Not necessarily, but some people speak about that as well.
Well, yeah, and everything can change. I mean, it's interesting, how they say that your palate can change every so many years. I noticed for myself personally, there were some types of food that I just could not eat any longer. Or there were some scents that I could not be around anymore because they were too, I don't know, I was too sensitive to it. But people will have fluctuations in weight. People will have major changes in their relationships. And I think that all of the different symptoms, which honestly, the list goes on and on and on and on, they will have one thing in common, and that makes you realize that you no longer can continue life in a certain way. And things, I think that's happening because, the vibration of the actual physical spiritual body is starting to change. And so you'll notice that there's change in sleep patterns. I talk to a lot of people that are like, my ears are ringing, what's going on? Well, because their frequency is changing. Things in the physical body is changing that they don't understand.
How are the sleep patterns changing? Do people sleep less or more, or?
It just depends. It just depends. I know that with mine, I was waking up a lot in the middle of the night. So I was waking up a lot between, 2, 3 a.m. And I have heard of this thing, there's a lot of people who will wake up nightly at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're like, why am I waking
This is the time when prayers are heard the strongest. Even Buddhists say you have to wake up at 3 to pray, because this is the most kind of, I would say, the time with the highest vibration. Maybe that's why people are waking up. They say 3 o'clock is the best time for prayer. And maybe that's why people feel this higher energy around that time.
The veil is the thinnest then at around 3 a.m. Actually,
Okay,
really between 2 to 4, but 3, yeah, the veil is the thinnest. So you're going to have a thinner layer interdimensionally. So we've got more things that can hang out in our room. We've got more things that are going to be visiting.
Hello, grandma. Hello, great grandma.
But that's what it can be. And then you've also got various, you know, guides or interdimensional beings or whatever it is that's coming in to either work with us on some level, you know. But then you've got people who believe in the theory, which I think there's some truth, that, you know, as we sleep, that part of our soul will leave and it will travel. And so we will come back.
Yeah.
We will come back at some point to check on the physical body, to make sure that it's still there, and we'll wake up. And so people who are noticing that, I think there is a correlation between that theory and the fact that they are doing so much work on another plane or in another realm, that might be happening. They may be astral traveling, you know, they may be going to different places to get some of this information, because these information downloads are so hard to get in the third dimension that it's easier to get it when we're sleeping.
I totally, all spiritual teachers speak about that we go and we attend lectures and learn, and while we were there, because that's the only way also to recharge ourselves. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, what's interesting is, like I said, you spoke a little bit about feeling like you have a mental breakdown. And so that was one of the topics. I'm looking at my notes here. One of the topics that I looked at that I really wanted to touch on, because, you know, I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to know anything. Obviously, you know, you need to check in with your medical professionals, but we're seeing a trend that's going on. So look at some of the younger celebrities, and I'm talking about anybody from about 33 to maybe even as young as like 25.
They're all having breakdown.
We're all freaking out and feeling the pressure, and we're seeing things that are shifting, and we're seeing that it's hard for us to deal with major changes that are going on internally. So I think that especially in the States, perhaps maybe there's a little bit of a stigma around what's going on with having a mental breakdown or having mental emotional issues. I think that in many belief systems and shamanic, you know, studies, that a lot of having this breakdown is really connected with having a spiritual ascension symptom.
Absolutely. That's what they say in shamanic cultures. I've been reading, interestingly, just previous few weeks about that, and they say this is everyone who's become a shaman. They'll have first go through hearing voices. Oh, doesn't even need that. Mental breakdown, emotional extremes. And also they were giving statistics that in the 50s and 60s, 1 in 100 people would experience any kind of depression until the age of 30, 35. Nowadays it's 50%. That someone till the age of 35 would have experienced a mental depression, breakdown, extreme kind of, you know, psychological state. So something is changing, because we're not feeling comfortable. We're not feeling normal. We're not. I mean, of course, our reality is very fast paced, but that's not a reason for so many of us to start breaking down.
It's not, but astrologically, and I think that's what can be difficult about practicing astrology, is that I cannot be biased. I just simply state the facts and I note the trends. And so one of the major trends that I'm seeing is that, you know, those of us who were born from 1983 to like 1990, we've got, you know, Neptune and Capricorn. And so of course we're going to be having difficulty with breakdowns. Of course, we're going to be dealing, especially those of us who have Saturn and Capricorn, with being able to figure out reality from what's not reality. And we have a real hard time dealing with the material world, and being able to drop the material world and not have attachment to that, to be able to really be able to be in alignment with ourselves, our spiritual selves. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I hear from on a regular basis that's like, that's it, I just don't have it in me. I can't go to work anymore. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, let's figure out the source. And the common trend is that we are starting to push ourselves so much into a direction where we feel like we have to conform. We're losing touch with who we really are, with our true essence, with our spiritual path. And especially these children. I mean, I'm talking to all of the Indigo kids. I'm referencing my notes here, like I said, about 83 to 95. But more specifically, really the ones who are starting to kind of wake up are like the late 80s to the very early 90s. And that's because of impending Saturn that's coming in, especially because we have Uranus, we have Saturn, and we have Neptune all conjunct in Capricorn. Now, and
those years when they were born, they were all
those years. And so we're starting
generation, the Neptune in Capricorn, the mission is to reconcile spiritual, or to bring spiritual into materialistic. And that's a mission. Neptune, spiritual. Capricorn is one of the most materialistic signs that shows the boundaries of physical reality. So they have to reconcile, they have to bring into science, into rational, normal living, the spiritual, and that's a huge mission you have, guys.
It's building, and that's the other thing is like, you know, I just have to kind of give credit where it's due to a couple of people. I've talked to a lot of older Saturn and Capricorn people the past, you know, couple weeks, because I've just been trying to learn about this, and I've been so incredibly grateful to get perspective from these generations, because it's so helpful. But I think the one thing that sets us apart is that we have Uranus in Capricorn.
Oh yeah, big.
Because this is innovation. This is not just how can we take Neptune spirituality and Saturn and rebuild structure that is not working right now. And Pluto in Capricorn currently is showing us this in our culture, in our government, where we're living, how we're spending our money, corporate companies. And you've got so many.
It's the people from they call them the millennials, basically, that are the ones rising, that are the ones protesting on the streets, that are the one awakening to all the dirt in the government, in all the institutions, which is, you know, Capricorn, you know, the higher echelons of rulership. Your generation is the one that is totally, you know, people from totally clueless about this. And
we've got a lot of advanced souls from this group, man. Like, really. And I got to give credit where it's due, because I'm seeing people who have Saturn in Sagittarius who are doing amazing things right now, that are setting it up for us. They're bringing the topics of what's going on in the world to the table so we can roll up our sleeves and we can get to work, because Capricorn has no problem doing that. But Sagittarians, or the Saturn and Sagittarians, so to say, the ones who are really my age, they're the ones who are really protesting. I feel like the Saturn and Capricorns are looking around going like, oh my God, this is just going to be such a job. But, you know, we don't have to start it quite yet.
Oh yeah, you're a bit later.
They're bringing these topics to the table for us. So that way we have the ability to really get an idea of where we need to start working. But what else is cool about us with that stellium, and so I mentioned that a couple of times for people who don't know what it is, but anything more than like 3 planets, natal planets in a particular sign, I would consider stellium. We come almost pre-downloaded. And so that's something else that I've kind of seen, and I've heard some interesting responses from all kinds of people, not just about from some things that I've prophesized or things I've talked about, but other people my age. I see a lot of older generations that are like, you don't have a lot of life experience. I don't. And we don't claim to know everything. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, is that people seem to think that we do. We don't. I think that we hold space for asking questions and asking, well, what else is going on? Is there something else that's going on out there? You know, the Saturn in Capricorn conjunct Neptune makes us very practical. So we're coming at it from a perspective where we will question things. We will seek innovation with Uranus there. We will have a common sense of spirituality and how that works, not just in our culture, but also in our physical bodies. So this makes a lot of sense for what we're seeing with, especially the past 10 years, really bringing, you know, other cultures' practices to the States or all over the world, seeing it blow up. We've got body work, we've got yoga, we've got other Eastern practices that we use to combine the physical and the spiritual body to better ourselves, we're going to really be implementing that the next couple years. And what we struggle with is that very topic, is, you know, how can we come to terms with our body? And I see it in so many ways. It's amazing. I mean, I've heard somebody recently be like, well, this is just our suit. This isn't real. And I think once we kind of get a hold of that, we have a better understanding of who we are. And so you're seeing that a lot with people coming out and preaching and saying, you know, self-love and self-acceptance, regardless of the size, regardless of the culture, regardless of the race. And I get so excited because I'm like, yes, guys, like you're getting it, like you're coming together and you're waking up. But, you know, the other thing is we struggle with mental, emotional issues, and that's the Neptune. And I think that that's why we see in our generation, and this is my perspective, we see a lot of people who are over-medicated and suffer from having these breakdowns, or they're suffering from having a connection with reality. I think that sometimes we can become addicted to substances or alcohol, and really, especially guys, that's Saturn, Neptune. I mean, that's our biggest thing to overcome. And I think that
dealing with reality, they find it so hard, I guess, Saturn and Neptune in Capricorn.
It's hard. It's really hard, because I think that a lot of people will fall victim to that, because not only maybe is it something that's kind of just that we pre-signed up for in a karmic way, but it's to really, really, really push us to how bad do you really want to connect? How badly do you really want to do the work? And if you really, really want to do the work,
I love it.
You'll come to terms and you'll cut through the illusion. And when you do, sometimes the answer to that is spirituality. At least in my case, it was. And that's really what got me to where I am now. So I'm a big advocate for talking to these people and explaining to them and saying, listen, you know, you got a VIP pass to be here right now. So I really hope that you use it, and use it in a way where you're encouraging other people and you're helping with the shift in consciousness, because it's a crazy time to be alive, that's for sure.
And you say, when is this? It's manifesting. You said you were gonna speak how you see it in people, the spiritual awakening through their horoscopes.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm really interested in. And like I said, you know, you can have a spiritual awakening whenever you want. I mean, it's really, I think sometimes it can be majorly triggered by transits, but it's also triggered by, you know, the loss. It can be, you know, the loss of somebody very close to you, a family member.
But the transit will show it.
The transit will show it. And so some of the things that I've been looking at are the outer planets. And so we've talked a lot about Saturn and Saturn moving, and how Saturn, you know, those of us who have not started doing the work already are really going to start getting your guys' butts kicked 2018 to 2020. So my recommendation is see an astrologer if you fall into that age group. If you're like 26, 27, 28, go talk to somebody, get an idea of how it's going to impact you. But those of you guys who aren't that age, we've got other things going on. I mean, we're looking at Neptune that's currently transiting Pisces. So I think right now it's somewhere around 11 degrees. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't have my chart in front of me. But,
yeah, very correct then.
And Chiron is there as well. And so we're seeing so many people waking up. And I think this affects everybody. Obviously, you know, in your natal chart, you want to check the water houses. So you want to see, you know, what's going on. And let me check my notes here. What's going on through those particular houses to see what may be happening. So the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th. I will also look at the 9th house, and I know that that's Sagittarius house, but I think that that's so strong for spirituality and also for visions.
Higher perspective, yeah.
And perspective. But everybody, look at your chart, see where you've got what house Pisces is in. And I'm seeing a lot of Pisces, especially with these eclipses, that are like really kind of having these epiphanies like, I don't think I should be doing that anymore. I think I should be doing this. And it's amazing because I'm seeing people walk away from like totally different careers and then deciding to go and be like energy, you know.
Yeah, from secure careers that will pay the bills, and our successors would never have, they'll have probably done as a hobby on the side something else, but they're just dropping now and everything and starting full-heartedly on those new paths. I guess
Yeah.
Neptune, Pisces and Neptune is allowing us to fully embrace that rather than just dip the finger and
it's so cool. And you know, when I'm seeing it in so many different ways, I think it affects everyone, but I'm really seeing it with these younger generations. I'm really seeing it with water signs in general. I think they're feeling it, they're going through it. I'm seeing a lot of people who are also I think Libra risings, I'm seeing a lot of it because you're having it go through your 6th house. And so you're seeing that you're having to have spirituality in your daily routine. And so maybe what may have been a hobby is now becoming a reality. And so now you're starting to be like, okay, maybe I can make this happen, and maybe I should be making the jump. So I get excited when I see those themes. We're also seeing, you know, Uranus that's in Aries. It's now in a later degree of Aries. So people whose sun is in a later degrees of Aries, especially people whose moons are in a later degree of Aries. You know, Uranus being conjunct with the moon is just like,
that can be spiritual awakening. You know?
And it's intense, and it's really intense. Especially, you know, with having Saturn that's going to be in a later degree in this next year, you're going to see some really interesting things happen. Especially when we have some of those retrogrades that go through the fire signs. I think that there's going to be this common theme of, are you paying attention to your intuition? Are you listening to what messages are coming through to you? Are you applying them? Are you following your intuition? And so that's going to be really interesting for a lot of you guys.
Fire rules intuition. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that, you know, Uranian energy is like lightning. And, you know, it's important for those people to stay grounded. You have to stay grounded because it can just totally shake everything up.
Can you give us advice how to stay grounded?
Everybody's different, so there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think a lot of people can find it very simply and very easily through breathing and just making sure that you're really paying attention to your breathing. I mean, my simple go-to is I will breathe in for 3 to 4 seconds. I will breathe out for 3 to 4 seconds, and then I will hold my breath for 3 to 4 seconds and then repeat. And once I get to where it's just happening naturally, I'll feel a little bit heavier. I feel a little bit more present. A lot of people like to work with crystals. I have a little pouch that I like to keep. Thankfully, I don't have like any air in my chart. So I wish I could have some of those air trines and just like be up there all the time. That would be great. But that you can tell a lot based on what you need from your needle as well. But, you know, meditation is great. Some people like to physically put both of their feet flat on the ground. And I like to teach a meditation where I tell people to envision taking a rope and having it wrapped around your abdomen, and that it's tied to a brick, and that you would just kind of toss the brick and allow it to ground you and start to feel your body heavy.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I can almost feel it when I imagine it, how the brick is towards the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, but just putting your feet flat sometimes is enough to do it, and cycling that breathing. But I mean, you know, as some of those transits go through, especially if you do have an Aries sun or an Aries moon, you got to really pay attention because, you know, it can just be really quick energy and can kind of set you up to be a little bit more accident prone. So that's going on. We've also got, what else did I write down here?
So Capricorn is also awakening through people with Capricorn planets through Pluto. The 3 outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the ones that bring
those caps are going through it, man. And I feel for you guys. I've seen so many people that are going through some crazy stuff. So we've got like people who have got their sun or their moon. I don't remember. Is Pluto at 17 degrees right now?
Yeah, 16.
Somewhere. So anywhere around there, man, Pluto is just going to transform, especially if it's near your moon. So the big thing that I say with that is you have to just let go, because Pluto energy is just going to get a tight hold on you, and it's just going to continue to push and push and push, which could make you explode until you start to really kind of get into alignment with that energy to where you're receptive, because that can be something that's so life-changing and so profound to have Pluto on your moon, to be able to perhaps even have connections to other dimensions. I mean, we forget what Pluto is. people argue whether it's the ruling planet of Scorpio. I will represent Pluto and Mars any day. But being able to see that energy and the connection to the other world, to the other side, and dealing with your own emotional demons in the process can be very heavy, but so amazing. Same thing goes for people who are having Pluto crossing their ascendant. I mean, I can only imagine that transit. That's a death. That's a spiritual death. Let it all go. Because when I see Pluto, you know, getting ready to like make its way out of the 12th house across the ascendant, I just look at them and go, you know, life as you know it is changing. It's important for you to be in alignment with how do you want that change to play out? How are you going to make this change happen for the better? And so something I think with astrological readings kind of unclicks and it opens and it unlocks, and people realize that, you know, your natal planets, there's no coincidence to where they are. Like how they line up is your karmic contract. And
yes, you agreed. You said at this age, at 20 something or 30 or 40, I'm going to experience this big life crisis, which is going to awaken me and expand my consciousness. But just like any birth, the outer planets transit Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto to Sun, Moon, or Ascendant Lord sometimes even, I've noticed that they can be very kind of shaking you out from the old. It's like a mini death in the start of a new birth.
Yeah.
But you have to go through this labor cycle, and these are the three planets that can change you psychologically. No amount of Saturn or Jupiter transits are going to change you. They can bring you some difficulties to overcome Saturn transits or whatever, but you don't change psychologically. Only Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the destroyers and creators of new, totally different consciousness and awareness.
No joke. I mean, some of the energy of what's going on, and we're seeing it, like we're seeing it now. You know, we're seeing it with Pluto currently going through Capricorn, and everybody's kind of looking around, kind of surprised with what's going on in the States, at least with our government and how things are moving with our government. And I'm like, this is kind of expected. We're getting a little bit of like a preview of what's going to happen the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, when Saturn shows up. And so I think that the reason why there is this pressure that's building with some of these younger generations is because we feel things so intensely that we are starting to realize if something is not resonating with us, we quite literally feel it in our bones, Capricorn. And we're realizing something else is going on here. There's something bigger. And so what I love about all of this is although there may be differences in political views or opinions or belief systems, through just me talking to people who were born from that 1959, 1962, 63 time, especially women. I've talked to so many women with Saturn and Capricorn.
That was the earlier generation with Saturn and Capricorn.
Yes.
Before your generation, yeah.
And I believe at the time, though, they had Pluto in Virgo. So, I mean, you know, we're going to jive. We're going to jive. It's okay. A lot of us have Pluto in Scorpio. But I think you
can cooperate together. Yeah.
Yeah, we will cooperate. And I think what's amazing is, and I've talked to so many of my spiritual teachers, they were on the front lines when spirituality was really coming through in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, more the 70s and the 80s, actually, when things were being developed. And when we were on, you know, starting to bring energy healing this way to the Western world, when we were starting to see that we were about spiritual consciousness and crystals and all of these things, what we don't realize is that they were there to hold space. And they were there to help bring us in. A lot of them are our mothers or our fathers or our significant role models in our lives that helped prepare us and raise us in a very conscious way. So that way we could come in and go, okay, we're aware of how to build the structure. We're also aware that spirituality is in our bodies and it's being activated. So we have to have a lifestyle, we have to have a world, we have to have a government that honors that and that honors everybody and unites everyone, and also making better changes for the world. I mean, we're really seeing this right now. And I think all of this is this build up until we get to 2020.
So you don't think anymore the same old people in power can continue like they've continued for decades and decades. They kind of do some cosmetic changes in government, like we had the collapse of the 2007 2008 financial collapse, and they didn't change anything with the banking, with the institutions, with the government.
They didn't, but that was the beginning of the shifts. That's about, when you see Pluto in Capricorn, that's bringing corruption to the surface and showing us this is what's really going on.
Now no one believes in the government and institutions anymore. When Pluto entered into Capricorn, people had blind faith in those institutions, and since then it's been destroyed since the last 7, 8, 9 years, basically.
We do, but is it blind faith, or is it a sense of internal knowing that the structure will fall? And
no, we used to have before blind faith in the structures, institutions, and it's been totally destroyed over the last few years. And it's like it's not going to continue, especially you say when Saturn enters Capricorn and comes and joins Pluto, there will be a total change of
total change. I mean, like this is going to be far beyond. And we touched on it in the last video when we talked about that eclipse that's coming in Leo, that's going to happen next August. And so that may be like the precursor to everything. We don't know. But we do know that it's bringing on similar themes of 1776, about the time we had the last eclipse.
In there? No, it was the last eclipse that passed throughout the whole of the states.
Yeah, but it was during that time when we actually broke free and we had the revolution. So you're going to see that. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I'm not saying it will. I think that the revolution will be more so in a sense of you're going to have division, and then you're going to have people who ultimately have to work together to birth a new nation, which may be separate sovereign states that govern themselves. We don't know. We just know that something is going to fall and it's going to change. And when that happens, we're going to be going down a different path of how we work together and how government works. And it's this build. It's the 2018 when it comes in, and then I think later in 2019 going into 20 when it conjuncts Pluto. Okay. And then in 2020, both Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter will be transiting into Capricorn. And so that's really what I'm waiting for, because to me that's just like fireworks. That's just, Jupiter can be such an amazing planet. It can bring so much abundance and so much amazing things, and it's the biggest planet, so it's going to magnify any situation.
Exactly. Magnify the destructiveness of Pluto, magnify the structure.
It's also like the holy death, so it can be that final situation. So I'm excited. I'm so excited to be somebody who's here to see this happen. I'm excited to be conscious. I think that it's so important to have these conversations, not just in a sense to tell other Indigo children to come out from wherever they're hiding. I think we're doing a pretty good job of it on our own. Somebody said to me recently, I'm so excited that you guys are finally coming online. You guys are early. And I think that that's true. I think that, and I'm going to start doing a little bit of some strolling through YouTube and seeing what other younger spiritual, astrologers or people are talking about, because I'm always open to other perspectives. And I think I speak for myself, but hopefully for a lot of other people who are my age, who are spiritually conscious, it's that we, like I said, give us a little bit of a break. We come a little bit pre-downloaded to where we're in alignment with these energies. We just are in a sense of knowing. We know what's right and we know what's wrong, those of us who have done the work, and we really want to change the world. And we really, at least I do, recognize the importance of working with especially that Saturn and Capricorn generation before us to really help us get this done, because we can't do it alone. We're just the people who are stepping up and going, okay, we have these 2 extra planets, we have Neptune and we have Uranus, we're going to throw them together and we're going to come up with new ideas to where we can make a change. And we need the help of other generations to be able to do this. I think
it culminates around 2020, all this.
Yeah, it's really, it's going to get colorful in 2018, I think, especially with I don't know if there's any other 89ers out there, but I mean, prospectively, we have, we have Uranus and Saturn and Neptune only a couple degrees apart. So although you may not have your Saturn return until 2019, it's going to get interesting the second Saturn enters into Capricorn. You're going to get a little bit, I think, of a longer Saturn return than most people. And I think you're going to see it kind of like a string of dynamite. It's just going to light and ignite every day. So I really encourage you to see where these planets fall in your chart. The other thing is I want to also open this up for other people. This isn't just the 88, 89ers. I mean, I'm talking everybody from like 83 to 95. Really, these are the indigo children, and that's because we have Neptune in Capricorn. And so this is everyone who's, oh, should I be doing a spiritual job? Do I really want to be going to school for this? No, I really want to be going to school for that. And I think that these kids are waking up because we're getting ready to go back into something similar to an Atlantean age. And I know that sounds kind of like out there, but we're seeing it with people who are, I mean, so many kids. I've done a lot of like psychic development with younger children who blow my mind with what they're able to do and how empathic they are and how much they have a sense of understanding and knowing and being able to almost feel things before they happen, or tell me about their dreams, or tell me about their spirit guides. I'm like, this is crazy. These kids are
no longer the same as the previous generations. Which children are you talking? Everyone like more progressively after 93, or even younger generations?
I would say that's about right. I mean, I've worked with children about as young as 5, 6, 7, 8. And I see people all the way up into their 20s. I work with people who are my age too, and help them through the process of what they're going through. But those kids in particular, really anything after I want to say like 95, 96, I'm seeing a lot of them just being like, well, yeah, this is the way things are. And like, and they have an understanding of like life and like cycles and
reality in a totally different way than
it's so amazing, because this is telling me we're doing our job. We are raising conscious children. And that's what's so important, is to be able to do that and to hold space for in any way. I mean, it's not even about religion anymore. I think we're coming more to a sense of people being spiritual and believing in a higher power, whatever that may be, and being
not even believing it, feeling it directly, because believing it is still about, I think that they know it. They don't need to believe it. They kind of they feel it, and it's no logic. They don't need proof for it. Yeah,
they feel so deeply, and it's really cool to see it. I mean, and to know that as we go forward, then we're going to see Saturn enter into Aquarius for a little bit of the younger kids. And I think that's going to be interesting, because we're going to see how they're taking all of the work that we've been doing and then really start to go, now we're going to do the environmental stuff. Now we're really going to take care of the planet. Now we're really going to technologically evolve in a way where we can do things better.
You first are going to topple the governments and the old structures down, the Capricorn generation.
Yeah.
And then when planets move into Aquarius, it's exactly this work you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's going to be so interesting to see it happen and to see it restructure from the ground up. So in a lot of ways, anyone who's got Saturn and Capricorn is in for it. I'm seeing so many people who are a part of, the older Capricorn, Saturn and Capricorn generation, who are also making major changes. Coincidentally, I'm seeing a lot of them being Capricorns. So they've got some major transits that they're dealing with right now, where they're like, now I'm leaving my corporate job and I'm going and I'm becoming a death midwife, or I'm going and I'm becoming a practitioner, or I'm becoming a healer, or I'm learning acupuncture. And I'm so excited because I'm seeing that we're seeing the change, we're seeing the development in the new occupations, we're seeing our communities being built. I mean, this is something that I wrote down I haven't even mentioned yet, but in the 1960s, that's when we had the Uranus and the Pluto conjunction. Mm-hmm. And so when I see this, you see so many more communities, community lifestyle, community-based situations, and people coming together in this like very like hippy-dippy thing. it's coming back, guys. I mean, this has been happening, these squares, since 2012. Now, really it took place 2012 to 2015, 16. We're still going to feel a little bit of it out 2017. So when these squares happen, I'm actually rejoicing because I'm seeing this as people coming together. And so, I mean, look at what happened at Standing Rock. Can we just like take a second to just be so appreciative of that? You will see more of that in the next couple years. You will see more people working against government, Pluto, coming together, Jupiter in Libra, and then Uranus in Aries, changing the way we think and the way we act. And so that crazy combination, which is wreaking havoc on the cardinal signs or cardinal ascendants, is difficult, but it's pushing us to come together to create change. We're no longer working in a way where it's my way or the highway, I know everything. It's, no, we don't know everything, that there are other cultures and other things and elements and the planet to take into consideration. So the only way we're going to fix it is by coming together. And so it's going to be wild. 2017 is going to be out of this world.
Yeah, and we have so many other years to look forward to 2020. And then with the Aquarius ingress of Pluto, Capricorn, Jupiter, they all start going into Aquarius. This is, I think that the communal living you're talking about will become
a reality.
And reality, yeah, when Pluto goes into Aquarius for 15 or 16 years after that, it's just people are going to start coming together due to mutual ideas and beliefs. And
well, and we talked a little bit about that the last video when we said that because, you know, Uranus is making its way into Taurus, it's going to be about what you're able to cultivate and what you're able to create, and how we're going to see fluctuations with money and with the stock markets and with finances. And we're also going to see a lot more people who are providing or creating their own resources. And so as we see those planets
in self-sufficiency. Yes, absolutely. And that's been my dream. I can't wait for Uranus in Taurus.
It's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be really great because it's teaching us to be more self-sufficient. I think all of this Saturn and Capricorn is teaching us to be responsible, but then once we're responsible, then we actually start creating together with other people. So you're going to see a lot of communities that are then providing for themselves, which I do think supports the concept and the idea that we are going to potentially be seeing a breakup of the United States. People go crazy when I say this. I don't care. I don't care who the president is. It doesn't matter. But I think it's very possible.
Self-governance is so much better than having a central figure governing you, and that's where the future is. Each town, each little area and region having their own self-government. We're going into the age of Aquarius, which is not about centralized power. It is about a self-power, equal structures that are without a center, basically, like a nervous system.
And it's not going to be clean. It's going to be messy. It's going to take some time to really get that in order. And so, you know, I joke with people and I say, like, welcome to the Hunger Games, but like, may the odds forever be in your favor. It may kind of be like that for a little bit, especially if we have the division of some of the states and some of the areas where you're going to see that when they become more self-dependent, that it's all depending on what resources they have. So you're going to see different economies, and people who have more money, people who have less money, different areas who are struggling, who are in other places that are doing very well. It will take time to figure that balance out, and especially in regards to trade and how it's being run. But
when Pluto goes in Aquarius, when Jupiter and Saturn, because Aquarius is about equal distribution of resources. As I say, Capricorn is hierarchical structures. Aquarius is lateral structures, like a brain, like the skin, like the networks, the internet, where each structure is as strong or as important, even if it's not as big, like part of the system, basically. So it will be redistributed.
Yeah. And it'll, like I said, it'll take some time until we get the hang of it. I think the big thing is that working together and not fighting against each other. There's a lot of people who are really upset about what happened, but I'm not really surprised, because you know, we needed to have this very like Uranian energy come into the States to be able to just change everything. And guys, regardless of what happened, regardless of, oh, that's not my president or that is my president. No, it is your president. And the only thing we can do is we can work through it and hope that we can create change throughout this whole process. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with it, but if we actually start to work together, we are going to be able to change things. And if it means that things aren't working, we will be able to spotlight what's not working. So we have an opportunity here. I think that, you know, it's very much like I said, it's like the tower card. It's like everything's got to fall. And once it does, we have the opportunity to rebuild it. And so you're going to see us really deal with issues of materialism, money, all of these things. Saturn in Capricorn is just, before it goes into Aquarius, where everybody's like, oh, we love each other. We have to deal with these materialistic issues and a lot of stuff with corporate greed and how we are with materials personally and as a country or all over the world. We're going to deal with that. So start getting into alignment with where you stand with your material objects and start being less attached. That's what I'm trying to do, being less attached to things. I love to give things away now, and learn that, you know, it's a flow of give and take, and that things are always subject to change. I think that that's the hardest thing, is that we have this fear of giving away or giving the power away, but we're not giving the power away. We're actually learning to kind of share.
And Capricorn is all about exactly what we find the biggest security in.
Yeah.
So some might be money in the bank, and others might be the small security system around them. And with all those planets going there, it will be transformed. It will be change your security system. So whatever it is, and in a material sense, your security system, whatever it is, guys, start researching for ways to already to accept it or to change it or to, you know, to go with the flow and not to be shocked when it comes.
Yeah. And it'll be a slow progression, but you're going to start to really see at the end of next year, and you know, see things kind of open up a lot more, and people are going to start, especially people who have that you know, that Uranus in Capricorn. We're going to start asking questions. I think that's something that we're really good at, is we pose questions to get people thinking, to get people talking. And so we're going to start saying, you know, what else is going on out there? What else can we do? And kind of just set up the discussion for what can we be doing to make proactive changes locally and globally, to help initiate that change. So a lot of the people who are waking up, please do the work, you know, talk to somebody, you know, talk to other people about the collective consciousness, and share. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm so pro doing these videos. It's because I love hearing from these people, and I like seeing the different ways that it affects everyone, especially the spiritual awakening for anybody who's going through it. But for those of you guys who are really having a hard time, you're not alone. You know, you're not alone.
No. I guess you're a messenger. You're messengers of those changes, and this is encouraging for people to what they're experiencing, and that there is a purpose to it and a mission that they're going through that, because they'll play such a big role in the awakening processes that are happening already.
And they're being activated. And, you know, it's interesting now to get to talk to so many people, because like I said, it's been so positive between people who are just supportive of wanting to also have these conversations, but also people who are struggling and who have reached out to me and have said things like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And so I just like to remind people, first of all, like, you can. That's why you're here. You know, you're so spiritually strong and evolved that you chose to come at this time, or you were asked to come at this time.
Yeah. You begged to come at this time as well.
You got on the VIP list, is what I like to tell people. But not only that, but you have such an opportunity to clear so much karma and reach so much dharma and do so much work. And if you're really struggling, the one thing I like to ask people is like, you know, don't you want to know what happens next? Like, if this were a movie, wouldn't you want to know what happens next?
Exactly.
Yeah. Please stay with us.
That's like the worst time to check out, when it gets the hardest, because you want to see the rainbow come out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Candace. I mean, like, I guess we should come again to speak about different things, maybe about relationship next time, because
yeah, relationship, karmic relationships, that would be fun.
Oh yeah, because you have so much knowledge. I love listening to you. You kind of downloading it directly, I guess.
Yeah, it's somewhere on the floppy drive.
Thank you so much for joining us and giving hope to people and
you.
direction for the future. I love chatting with you.
Thank you.
Constantly while we're talking, I get goosebumps. I love.
Well, I love talking to you
confirmation
too.
of truth. You know, when I get goosebumps, that's my intuition speaks like that. The goosebumps, and that's my superpower.
Awesome. Well, I get it. I get it too. So I appreciate it, and as always, it was so great talking to you.
Thank you, guys. And if you want to have a personal reading with Candace, I'm going to put a link to her profile and you can contact her, write to her. She's quite busy, so first maybe write to her once you purchase the order and ask her when she's available so you can schedule at a good time for both of you. So thank you so much, Candace, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to the next one as well.
Me too. It'll be fun. I'll have lots of stuff to talk about. So
you will come and join us on the 1st of I think you're doing something on the 31st, aren't you?
Oh yes, I'm gonna party with you guys on New Year's Eve.
Yes, I think we're doing like a few astrologers and psychics can appear on the 31st of December to make a little prediction, draw cards, and on the 1st of January I'm gonna just go live and just talk, and whoever wants to join, say hi, give a message of hope. Yeah, all of the people with hangover who are reevaluating their life on the 1st of January.
You'll bring everybody hope, Lada.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Candace, again. Have a great week ahead. Thank you guys for joining us. There were lots of people that were watching. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys.
I will see you soon. Bye, Candace.